was just making shy of 9K a month. 2 months later, after real sales system, I made 25K. Biggest problem that I wanted to solve was that my volatility in results. If I was on a good streak, I was good, but then I had no idea how to improve. I was very stuck. I would still be making inconsistent results and income. But then you helped me out actually to put that system in place. I've been able to close people. When I was tired, I was fatigued, but I still maintained the same consistency regardless of external circumstances. Now I had a life. I didn't have to think obsessively about what am I doing wrong. If I'm not willing to invest in myself, then why the hell is anyone else going to want to invest in whatever I am selling? Doesn't make sense. And if I can tame my beasts, I can actually tame your beasts. I've invested upwards of 25, 30K in my sales training before RSS, and I got zero out of it with big names and everything because they all said one different thing. And then I was like jumping hoops and doing all these things. But you were the only one that actually said, dude, it's easy. You just need a
All right, sweet. We're here with Ignacio, one of the students from Real Sales System. First and foremost, Ignacio, people want to know the numbers. How much were you making before the training program and how much are you making now?
So I was just making shy of 9K a month, US dollars. And 2 months later, after the RSS and real sales system, I made 25K.
Solid. What do you sell?
So I'm on an offer, which is an e-com offer, and I sell consulting packages to boost sales of e-commerce brands.
Yeah. So it's like a business coaching offer for existing e-commerce store owners, helping to scale their business.
Yeah, exactly. And then we're moved into also BizOp, because we're now launching like a new program for people who want to get into e-commerce as a BizOp. But yeah, I mean, still, it's early on to see if things are working there.
Nice, man. So you're at 25K a month now, and still a lot more to go, right? A lot to learn. But before, it wasn't like that, right? So before you got in the program, what are some of the problems that you are facing that you're looking to solve?
But at the end of the day, I had gone through a lot of training before your sales training. I had gone through, I mean, multiple big names in the industry, and I always found that their approach was too much of based in scripts. And what really piqued my interest and my curiosity with you was the fact that you said, when was the last time that a sales call followed exactly a script? And that made me think. And I was like, yeah, that's true. That's why I'm getting stuck because I was very not happy with scripts. And at the end of the day, I felt I was a bird in a cage. I was no flexibility, no anything. That it was just like I was put into this system and I just had to do the same mechanism once and again, but the leads change and the people change. So then I was like, that doesn't make sense. So I was looking for other options. And then I came across your training. And the biggest problem that I wanted to solve was that my volatility in results. Like if I was on a good streak, I was good, but then I had no idea how to improve. I was very stuck because I was like, I was winging it. I didn't learn the script, so I said, screw that. And then essentially, I was left without anything, without any sort of direction or system. But then you helped me out actually to put that system in place and help me out, and the results speak for itself.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's the problem that most closers go through is either one end or the other. One end is like they're so rigid, stuck on the script. And so, like you and I were talking about, if every sales conversation went exactly how the script's written out, no one will need sales training. Nobody, right? Because that's just not how it happens. Human beings sometimes answer in this way, sometimes answer in that way, right? Sometimes they give you vague answers, right? But on the other end, if you just completely wing it and if you have an inconsistent process you're using on the sales calls, then I mean, is it really shocking that you're going to get inconsistent results?
Yeah, I mean, it's totally logical that your income is going to be dependent on your emotional state or whatever. And then one of the things that I loved is that I've been able to close people when I was tired, I was fatigued. I wasn't sleeping properly because I had some other personal issues, but I still maintained the same consistency regardless of external circumstances. And that has been life changing, truly. Like, because I was like, finally, I can have something, a system that works for me, that I don't need to kind of navigate the ups and downs of volatility because of my emotional state or whatever's going in my life. And that it's the first time I actually feel I have a business.
100%. Yeah, that's a lot of problem that a lot of closers go through as well. Where if they have a good day, they can close people. Of course, everybody can do that. But when they have like a down day or something happens in the external life or whatever it may be, now all of a sudden it's just like it's like that. What's that cartoon in basketball? It's like Space Jam. They lose their power all of a sudden, right? So when you're going through that volatility, because I mean, it's not that you just don't close the deals. Also, I don't know about you, but it affected me mentally or also outside of sales as well, right? So how's that even affecting you? You kind of going through that volatile state, if anything.
Well, it was shit because at the end of the day, it affected my personal relationships, with my family, with my girl, with everything. And it's just that whatever you do at work has ripple effects on every other area because as the way you do one thing is the way you do everything. Right? So if you're frustrated at work or you see there's no results and you keep on banging your head against the wall, you're just more anxious. You're just more reactive. Everything kind of bothers you. And it's not really pleasurable to be in that situation. And for me, I honestly, I didn't have a vacation in a long time because I was the thought, man, if I ever go out and relax, everything is gonna come crumbling down because it's happened to me before, right? And with your system, I remember that in April, the month that I actually did my peak, I went on a mini vacation, and I was still closing on the vacation and everything, but I went to the beach and everything, and it was like, dude, I'm closing from the beach. Like this is drop level.
You're living the lifetime lifestyle that people wanted to live when they first got into the industry.
Exactly. And I was like, oh, dude, man, like this actually changes everything because now I had a life. Now it's like I didn't have to think obsessively about, dude, what am I doing wrong? It's just like follow the system, man. Like you know what to do. You just go in there, you perform to your max, and then you review and you do all your systems. But then outside of that, you can enjoy life more. And dude, it's been fucking amazing.
That's a really good point that you brought up because I fall into the trap where I thought I wanted to be like David Goggins or Kobe Bryant. And I thought I wanted to be because I mean it sounds sexy, right? So Kobe Bryant's still one of my biggest inspirations. But what I realized is that no, like I don't want to live life like Kobe and David Goggins for the rest of my life. I'll have periods like that, absolutely. Like I've had times where I'll stay up until 3, 4 in the morning, closing deals, doing follow-ups, all those kind of things. I'll take it more serious than everybody else. However, at the same time, we have this so we can actually improve our life, right? And so that's the biggest thing, and so that's glad I'm glad to hear that you had that, the transformation outside of work as well. Now, when you first decided to get into the program, I'm sure you've had some doubts or skepticism and concerns as well, like we all do, right? So what kind of skepticism or concerns did you have before joining the program?
Dude, I remember I was like, man, is this gonna be another sales training that is just a bunch of tactics and nothing else? No sort of like hand holding or accountability or telling the truth just as it is. Is it just gonna be like all the other trainings that I've invested upwards of 25, 30K in my sales training before RSS, and I got 0 out of it, like, with big names and everything, because they all said one different thing, and then I was, like, jumping hoops and doing all these things, but you were the only one that actually said, "Dude, it's easy, you just need to think as a in a process level," right? And that shifted everything, but for me, the biggest issue I had to overcome myself was to put myself out there again and to risk this being another failure. But then I was like, dude, if I'm not willing to invest in myself, then why the hell is anyone else going to want to invest in whatever I am selling? Doesn't make sense. And I need to invest in myself so that other people, I can hold other people accountable and say, I know what you go through. I know the same objection that you're going to give me because it's what is in my mind. And if I can tame my beasts, I can actually tame your beasts as well. And that's the difference, right? So, biggest thing was the thing of like, oh man, is this going to be another sales training like the ones? And also, like, the biggest issue was, dude, is this gonna be useful for me? Because I said in Spanish, your programming is in English, man. And you were very upfront about it. Was like, dude, I'm not gonna be able to review your calls. And I was like, okay, doesn't matter. I'll make it work. But I was like, I need help, right? And I had to translate everything. I had to do all those things. But at the end of the day, it's like, are you willing to do the work? Are you willing to put yourself outside of your comfort zone? And that's what actually drove me to get over those things and just go with it.
100%. One thing I respect you about you, man, is well, one of the things is that there are two types of people, right? So the first type of people are like, oh, I can't because of this and this and this reason. And then the other type of people are like, oh, okay, these are my circumstances. How can I figure this out? Because you're right. Okay, you could have been like, yeah, but Brian, I sell in Spanish, so I don't know. Yeah, but I have these reasons, so I don't know. I'm this. But you're like, no, no, here are the circumstances. Here's what I got to do. I think this can help me. Let me just fucking figure it out. Let me put the extra work if I have to. And so it's no wonder that you got the progress that you've been seeing so far because you have that mentality, right? And another thing too, you're going about the congruency aspect too. If we're closers and if our job is to help people overcome their own limiting beliefs, their concerns, their fear, and if we don't do that with ourselves, how are we going to do that with any conviction or certainty for other people? It doesn't make any sense, right? Now, when I first heard this, because I think at this point every closer has heard that, at first, I thought it was like a woo-woo thing. It's like, oh, sales is a mirror. That's something I say often. I thought it was like a woo-woo thing, like kind of in the airy fairy. Then I'm like, yeah, maybe. Then also another aspect is that no, it's just harder for you from a conviction standpoint, because if let's say someone's like they've gone through 5 different divorces, could they give marriage advice to somebody with a really good conviction? It's tough, right? It's the same thing. If someone's struggling with vague prospects or people that lack urgency, and sometimes people, whenever they look at my sales call recordings or my role plays, they say, hey, Brian, how are you able to come up with these things so quickly? Oh, yeah, look, there's a skill set aspect, but also I don't buy into my own bullshit. And so because I don't buy into my own limitations, I know the things I tell myself. It's like, dude, you just got to get over yourself. What else are you going to do? Then I can just say the same thing to the prospect just in a more persuasive manner. So what you brought up is so key there.
Absolutely, man. And like at the end of the day, it's smart. Dude, I've been in low points of my life and I know how it is to lose and how to lose in life. I also know how to win because I've learned it. I've gone from nothing to where I'm at now, and nobody's given me anything, right? So that's the thing is that if people, I see it a lot in my country in Spain, that people are just lazy. I guess the word lazy. They're not willing to do what it takes to win, but everyone wants to win. Yeah, of course, everyone wants the view, but nobody wants the climb. Right, and that's the change. And what you said about the seasons and of life and just saying, okay, that's what I did. I was like, all right, can I take 3 months of my life for the rest of my life? Can I actually do that? Am I going to be able to master this in order to have the rest of my life as whatever I want to do with it? Does it make sense? Is it a good deal? I was like, dude, it's a bargain. So I was like, okay, let's do it. I did it on the call, man. Like, no hesitations, no nothing. I was like, dude, this is my circumstances. Here you go. Here's my trade card.
100%, man. So you got into the program, and what was one of the first thing that you started implementing that started to make some changes in your sales?
Well, it was the whole process, especially how to start the call. Like, because I realized, dude, it's like minute 10, minute 15. I was listening to my calls and I was like, why am I talking about all these random things that isn't actually moving the thing, moving the needle? Um, and I felt I was like just wasting time. So starting strong, maintaining the good frame, asking good questions, knowing exactly where you're going to go first 5-10 minutes were crucial for me because I think those early wins that I had, which was a lot less objections because I had a stronger start of the call, made all the difference. It was one of the first things I did.
Okay. Could you give an example of one of the first thing you did in the first 5 minutes? Like maybe a question or some sort of technique you started implementing?
Yeah. So you mean when I got into RSS, the first thing that I did in 5 minutes?
Yeah, you said in the first 5 minutes of the call is crucial, right? As we both know. So, what within the first 5 minutes, maybe a question you started asking, or maybe the way you started doing it, like maybe a specific example that starts to make some changes for you.
Specific example was like, okay, so what got you looking into our PDF and our stuff that we send over to you? Like, what got you interested in that? And then that opened up a lot of problems, a lot of awareness into their situation. And it was as if I was condensing 15 minutes into one question. And then from there, it's like, oh, you've got this problem. Okay. And what are you doing? And is it working? And then after that is just like navigating a little bit into like, what's that costing that person? And it's just a very simple, pragmatic way, the process that you have, the flow diagram. And I think the top part was the most important thing. It was starting strong, appearing as the trusted advisor, not as a sleazy salesman, and really saying like, all right, so what got you interested in us in the first place? Oh wow, that's like something not a lot of closers actually do. You come out way more professional than other people.
Yeah, for sure. The problem that most closers do is that number one, they're either too tense in the beginning, so that shuts down the prospect as well. But the way you ask, like, yeah, sweet. So, yeah, what's the outcome that you're looking to get? When you say that, it's a very casual manner, so it allows that other person to actually start opening up about their problems and their goals, right? And then now the beginning also, but you're not also letting them ramble on and on about useless stuff either, right? I think that's another mistake that most people make as well is that they talk about useless stuff or they ask too many technical questions, especially in the beginning. And because of that, now the prospect shuts down. They're like, hey, so like, what do you guys do? Cut to the chase. They'll do that, or they just start giving a vague surface area answers. So, anybody watching this, if you keep getting vague or surface area answers consistently, a lot of times it's because something that you're triggering that. You know what I mean? And so we got to give people a reason to open up. So that's why we want to open up the call a lot more casually. You're not going in passive or weak or limp. We're not doing that. You're still going certain professionally, but helping the prospect open up. And then, okay, cool. What are you looking for? What are you doing now? What is the problem? But most importantly, what you mentioned is what is it costing them? So if you're talking to like a business owner type of thing, whether it be business coaching, lead gen, or business funding, whatever it may be, then we want to go into how that problem is affecting the business. If you're talking to a consumer, like BizOp, fitness, whatever it may be, then that's like how's it affecting them personally? The problem is that most people stay surface there, right? They settle for answers like, oh, I just want to grow my business. Oh, I just want to get more leads. Oh, I just want to make more money. And they don't go much deeper into that. And because of that, they end up getting tons of objections at the end of the call because, well, you haven't uncovered pain for them to not give an objection in the end in the first place.
Absolutely. And at the end of the day, I remember one of the closes that I attribute 100% to you because I would have never closed it if I were just winging it, was a guy who came in the call and he said, "Look, I don't want to waste your time." It was I think it was end of March or something, and he said, "On the 1st of April, I'm already hiring an agency to help me out with all these things. So I don't want to waste your time. I just took the decision, but I wanted to be respectful of your time. That's why I'm on the call." And I translated that into a one call close if on the moment, right? And that would have been impossible. And the way I did it was like instead of panicking and saying, "Okay, what are we doing in the call then?" Or I think I'm going to reschedule you, or it's not a good time, or whatever that I would have done before. I just said, "Oh, okay." And what actually got you looking into us if you have already got a solution? And then they started talking. It's like, you know what? I'm kind of worried about this and that. And then you start like following the process. And dude, at the end of the day, it's like it's funny when you know the kind of answers you need. And You're just like probing until you get them, and then you're like, check, go into the next one, check. Gives you a lot of control over the call.
Yeah, 100%. So in that scenario, what most people do is, like you said, does feel free to reach out when you're more ready, and then they just end the call. Princess closers. So that's why they just keep having deals fall through the cracks, right? So they'll do that, or they'll kind of panic and get flustered. It's like, oh, okay, and they don't even know what to do, or they'll just kind of ask some weird question, right? But what you do is a total opposite. So if the prospect pulls away, then most people try to push and they keep running away, right? But what we want to do instead is if they pull away, we pull away. We step back and we have them come towards us because the question you had, yeah, not a problem. I mean, yeah, what has you want to even look into this instead of, going with that other agency? And you add the tone is also important too, right? The sub communication, the facial expression, body language, tonality, and the overall vibe, if you want to call it that. It's like, yeah, no problem. Like, you don't need anything from them. That's the thing. Is people talk about being detached from the sale, absolutely, but this is really crucial. It's like we don't need anything from them. The goal isn't really to make the sale, although yes, that's technically our job. But the real job that we have is really follow the process to the best of our ability in that moment. That's all we do, right? And so when we pull away, now what does it do? They have to justify to themselves why they're on the call in the first place. Otherwise, they wouldn't be on the fucking call, right? They have some sort of reason. Doesn't matter what they say. A lot of times, prospects, people in general, they justify, right? They need some sort of justifier, some sort of plausible deniability. Otherwise, they're gonna feel pressure or whatever it may be. Same thing in a dating context too. Like the girls have to say, "I'm not the type of girl," even though they could be the type of girl, right? Otherwise, they're gonna be judged or they're gonna get pressure. So same thing in a sales context too. So that's really good. Now, what's another thing that you started implementing that makes I guess move the needle for you?
Well, I started because you told me to do it after looking into my data and being more analytical of like, okay, what's my lowest hanging fruit and tackling that and being very systemic, saying like, if this is my lowest hanging fruit, I'm just going to focus on this until I master it. And then I'll go into the next lowest hanging fruit, right? But I didn't start saying, "Oh, wow, I've got a classroom with thousands of hours of content. I'm going to devour everything and try to implement it all at the same time," 'cause that doesn't work, right? As I said, I know how to win. I've learned that throughout my life, so I know how to be very systemic and saying, "Okay, let's focus on this, then this," right? So after being very analytical, which you gave me the templates and everything to know exactly what was my lowest hanging fruit through data, one of the things that I did that I credit to this day, really, a lot to the results I've gotten so far is the accountability. The accountability that I've gotten um, through people who were also in the RSS, members, of the RSS, and especially to Max. There's a guy called Max. We have incredible difference in time zones, even mountain state, mountain time zone, and I'm in, like, Spain, so it's like I think when he wakes up, it's already 5 p.m. my time, so it's crazy, but we still made it so that we could role play once and again and again and again, and we had this pact in which I was like, "Dude, we're gonna say things the way it makes sense, and we're gonna have no filter." 'Cause I don't wanna be a princess closer. I don't wanna be like, "Oh, yeah, just give me this objection, but kind of, like, help me out with it." No, 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 just be the most brutal, honest, person you can be as a role play so I can improve my game. And then just doing that once and again, and I have had weeks in which we role played 3, 4, 5 times in the same week, then that compounds because you do it much better.
Yeah, 100%. So that's another thing we do inside of the program too, is we paired you up with an accountability partner that's selling on a similar offer as you. So even though the time zone may be different, the offers it so that way they can actually play the prospect quite well. And the thing about that is a lot of times people pay for mentorship or training, whatever it may be, and a lot of times they don't stick with it because I mean you can watch a bunch of videos, but the accountability is what's lacking for a lot of people. It's like people know if someone wants to get in shape, get a personal trainer, go to the gym, eat right. We all theoretically know that, right? However, people are just lacking that, right? So we will always fall to that because discipline and willpower are finite. And so we created systems like accountability, people go into the similar framework, and people who have high standard, not just random people. That way you can actually follow through with that. So that's good. Well, I'll just say is like the overall how this is maybe different from most programs that maybe you looked at or you tried in the past.
Wow, dude, I was uh like amazed when I had a question. I sent it to you via DM and you answered. I was like, what? The actual sales trainer is answering personally to me. I was like, wow. Next level was when you came back and followed through with me. And it's like, how did that go? I was like, whoa, he actually gives a crap. Like, I was like, okay. So that made a huge difference because I was like, man, he's on my team, man. He really wants me to succeed with this. This is just not another sale for him. It's literally like he's got skin in the game as well. Right. So that was like, all right, that was big.
Yeah. Nice, man. Okay. Yeah, I mean it takes more time, right? So that's something I can do at the moment. I'm sure later on I'll have like assistant coaches doing it, so on and so forth. But either way, obviously we want to make sure that everybody's getting the support that they need, right? And then holding them accountable. So obviously self accountability important. So we have different levels of accountability, right? So we have self accountability, we have accountability from the group, and accountability from obviously from our end as well. Now, so you got to that 25K a month. Did your life change at all? Did you buy anything? How's it any different, if anything?
Dude, well, I mean, right now, I've invested in the house. Well, a house. It's like an apartment in a new country because I'm moving like this Sunday, which has much better taxes than Spain. It's pretty close. It's in the north of Spain, and yeah, man, I'm doing the whole furniture stuff and everything, and it's like, dude, a kid with a lot of money in a candy store. I'm like, just like, hey, this is gonna be my new house. I'm gonna decorate it this way and that and all that stuff. So I haven't really done anything crazy with it. It's just like for me, I understand what you say about Kobe Bryant being one of your role models, and probably you used to say like, "Job not done," right? So I haven't really celebrated hugely because I'm like, dude, I'm just started, man. It's been 2 months. Like, imagine when I'm 5 months into this, right? It's just like people don't think that way, but I do. Right. And I think that motivates me more than just going out and buying the random stuff. And I'm like, why do I need this?
Yeah, it is really important to see the track. Is celebrating the wins while also seeing the track because a lot of times people fall back to the default state. So understanding to keep increasing the standards for sure. But that's good to hear, man. What do you think if you didn't take a bet on yourself 2 months ago, what do you think would have happened?
It's funny because I would have still be making inconsistent results and income. And um, I would just throw in the towel, man. I was really considering doing something else. And the thing is that, like, it was hard. It was hard. It was a hard decision because it was like, um, basically rooting for yourself or just throwing in the towel. That was how I saw it, right? And if I hadn't have taken a chance on me, I don't know. God knows where I would have been, but not in a good place. Or being stuck in a normal job and saying, man, I could have been this person, but I decided not to. And at the end of the day, I always say, like, man, choose the thing or the decision that's going to end up making the best sense in 50 years or whenever you're going to die or whatever. Because the story that you're going to tell is the only thing that you actually have at that moment, right? So I was like, man, it's my last chance. I need to do this. And that's what I did. And I was super grateful for it. Because if not, dude, my life would have changed so badly. I would have been stuck at a dead end job, hating my life. Just another person in the planet not really doing anything great or not knowing his capacity. So it would have been a devastating blow. I think that's what made me like just okay, do this.
Yeah, 100%. I think we never regret at least trying. At least for me, I've never regretted at least trying, even if the outcome didn't turn out as good as I wanted to, or even if the outcome turned out bad. I never regretted trying because you know what? Yeah, but at least fucking tried.
And you never know how close you are.
100%. And so not trying is the regret of living with that. That has always been the most painful for me. And so imagine looking back. Let's say you turn gray and you're lucky enough to live that long, and you're telling that story to a grandkid, right? And then your grandkid's asking, "So, grandpa, like, what did you doing that day?" He's like, "Oh, I just backed out." Why? You know, I was just scared. Imagine like looking at yourself saying that, like it's just painful, right? So it's always me too. At this point, I've invested over a quarter million, close to 300K USD at this point, different coaches, courses, masterminds, and different things. You know, whether it be sales, business, fitness, personal development, whatever it may be. And were everything perfect? No, but I've never regretted a single one because I always learned something from it. And like you said, you never know how close you are. And I always have the mantra, Harmoza said this one time too, but it's not the program that works, but it's you that makes the program work for sure. So that's great, man. What would you say the last thing? What would you say to somebody that's kind of on the fence about joining? What would you say to them?
I mean, first understand what you want to do in your life. If you want to continue being and having the results that you are getting, do nothing. Literally, like do nothing. But if you're in the fence and you really want to change, you want to do something great for your life, for your economic health, for your family, for yourself, do it. 100%. I don't even think about it.
Well said. All right. So thanks for tuning in to this interview. Now, if you want to see if you would be eligible for Real Sales System, you can go to the first link in the description box below. Now, we do turn away 70 to 80% of people just because they don't meet the selection criteria. It's not a sales tactic. It's just most people don't, which is fine. But to see if you'd be eligible, you can go to the first link in the description box below. All right. Peace out.